what's funny, Zubin? You think that the NBA season is over when the Toronto Raptors, they crown themselves champions? Oh, no, it is not. We got breaking news into SportsCenter.
We do. I think the NBA offseason has become more interesting than the NBA regular season, and this is the biggest one of all. The Pelicans have agreed to finally trade Anthony Davis to the Lakers. Now, here's the compensation package. Everybody's wondering, what would they give up? Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram. Remember, Ingram has the blood clots in his arm, so that's an issue. Josh Hart, and 3 first-round picks, including the number 4 overall pick in the 2019 draft, which will air this Thursday on ESPN. That league sources tell ESPN. We've got the NBA's best insider with us. He's going to help break this down for us. It's Adrian Wojnarowski who joins us tonight here on SportsCenter. Woj, I just gave the details of the deal. This is Tony Collins and Zubin Mehenti. What else can you add?
Zubin, Tony, this is a monster haul for the New Orleans Pelicans to get 2 starters, Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, an outstanding young player, and Josh Hart, and 3 first-round picks, including the number 4 overall pick in Thursday's draft, which allows New Orleans not only to draft Zion Williamson at 1, but at number 4, get another, potential very good young player. But for the Lakers, they paid a steep price to get the player they had to get, Anthony Davis. Now Davis and LeBron James partner up in the West. Suddenly, the Lakers are a legitimate contender. They were able to keep Kyle Kuzma. This is everything LA had to do this summer. They had to get Anthony Davis. They weren't at the top of any big free agents list, but this certainly changes the dynamic of that Laker organization, changes the narrative. They've got Anthony Davis, who has said all along he plans to sign a long-term extension with the Lakers next summer when he can become a free agent.
This is very interesting. Tony and I have so many questions for you, and obviously we're going to continue to hit you with them here until 7 p.m. Eastern time. It's become the biggest story, obviously, in the sports world right now. David Griffin is now the executive vice president of the New Orleans Pelicans, had a good relationship with LeBron from his days when he ran the Cleveland Cavaliers. Do you sense in any way the insistence that the fired Dell Demps wouldn't make this move with the Lakers, but the relationship that Griffin might have with the Lakers, Rich Paul, LeBron, in any way, did that allow this deal to get done more quickly?
Absolutely not, Zubin. I think David Griffin was trying to make the best deal he could for the Pelicans. I think his focus was maximizing the assets that they get in return, and LA was the place that they could maximize it because Davis had made it clear that's where he would resign. There were other teams interested, but the Lakers went to such lengths. There has not been a deal for a single player in this league as steep of a price as LA's paid, perhaps since the Carmelo Anthony deal that Masai Ujiri made with the Knicks in Denver a decade ago. There hasn't been a team that has had to give up more for a pick. So while Anthony Davis does go from New Orleans to LA, they paid a price, and they're going to be certainly limited roster-wise with those draft picks. They lose, the core, very good young core there, but this is a deal LA had to make, and they paid a steep price for it.
Well, you keep mentioning how much of a monster deal this has been, and this is. When did this all pick up steam?
They've been talking, Tony, over the last several days. I think talks picked up as we headed into the weekend, Thursday, Friday. New Orleans had wanted to get this deal done by the weekend ahead of Thursday's NBA draft. Now they've got that 4th overall pick. They've got to decide who they want to select with it. And remember, too, this deal cannot be finalized until July 1, but they will be picking on Thursday with that number 4 pick. And now the the Pelicans have some time between now and then to identify who they would like to take there, but also, they could be in the marketplace to shop that pick. There are other teams who might want to move up. So this gives the Pelicans a lot of options here between now and the draft.
Woj, I wanted to ask you about one person conspicuously not in this deal, and this was a guy maybe only second to Anthony Davis in this deal that was talked about more than anybody else as the Pelicans and the Lakers tried to make something happen, and that is Kyle Kuzma. Again, it's Ball, Ingram, Hart, and a trio of first-round picks. Kyle Kuzma not being included in this deal tells you what from the Lakers' vantage point?
Well, they had to give up in other areas, giving up the 3 firsts, giving up Josh Hart as part of the deal, who's an outstanding rotation player for the Lakers. And, Kyle Kuzma is a very good young player, but without him in this deal, it is still substantial to New Orleans. And certainly Kuzma now will partner with James and Davis. He'll be a key part of that Laker team, but it gives a lot of flexibility financially in New Orleans. They're going to be able to, they have cap space this summer. They can go out and add to this core. They believe Zion Williamson's going to be everything that people think he's going to be, a legitimate franchise player. And the reshaping of that New Orleans franchise just sped up by, number one, the fact that they won the lottery, but two, how much they got in this deal. But for the Lakers, they wanted to hold on to Kyle Kuzma. That was important to them. They did, and certainly he's a player that can help them win now, but they gave up plenty else.
Woj, thank you very much. I know you're constantly working the phones looking for more details.
Well, it looks like Anthony Davis is going to be wearing a different uniform. According to our insider Adrian Wojnarowski, the Pelicans have agreed to a deal to trade Davis to the Lakers for Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, and 3 first-round picks, including the number 4 overall in the 2019 draft. Now, here's the thing. Davis had a player efficiency rating of 30.3 in 2018-19. That is the 3rd highest in the NBA, behind 2 MVP candidates in Giannis Antetokounmpo and James Harden. His career PER of 27.4 is 3rd best in NBA history among those to play at least 300 games, trailing only Michael Jordan and LeBron James. PER is a rating of a player's per-minute productivity. And now we got to bring in Zubin, the one and only ESPN's Dave McMenamin, who follows the Lakers and LeBron all the way every day. Dave, your reaction to Anthony Davis heading to Los Angeles to be with LeBron and you guys?
I can't say it's shock. It's certainly a lot to give up, but you're getting a lot back. And the entire NBA was reminded of the difference a top-level talent can make, with Toronto being bold and going out and getting Kawhi Leonard and getting the first championship in franchise history. Here you have the Lakers certainly gave up a lot to get Anthony Davis's services, but you bring back a 27-year-old superstar in his prime who has already shown some chemistry with LeBron James and the limited opportunities they've played together. And now we see what the next shoe to drop will be and how they fill out the rest of this roster to try to have the necessary depth to make a legitimate run at a championship.
And Dave, that's where I wanted to go with you next. Rich Paul couldn't get it done in January, but he makes it happen in June. And there had been so much emphasis. Woj was with this earlier and said this had to get done before the NBA draft so they could get those trio of first-round picks in addition to Lonzo, Brandon Ingram, and Josh Hart. So you've got LeBron's salary. You've got Anthony Davis's salary as he eventually heads to free agency in 2020, a likely re-sign with the Lakers. Just take into account the salary that they now have to take into account with LeBron and Davis. What can they do? What can they still afford to do come July 1?
Well, as presently constructed, Zubin, they don't have a full max salary slot available. Now, that doesn't mean that a player who's considered a max level talent wouldn't take a haircut in order to join the likes of AD and LeBron. But you could see the Lakers break up the max slot that they've been preserving and go after several different pieces to really have the necessary depth they're going to need next year. And, some of the names you could hear and you likely will hear in the coming weeks, guys like Seth Curry, Brooke Lopez, Bogdan Bogdanovic, right on down the list, Terrence Ross of the Orlando Magic. They are going to need to not just have a two-man team. I mean, what you saw out of the Golden State Warriors, what a fantastic collection of talent. But if one of your top-tier guys goes down, you're really at a disadvantage. And so, you could just see LeBron and Anthony Davis as the major stars on that team. Obviously, Kyle Kuzma, retaining him will allow them to have a young up-and-coming scorer with that roster. And then, guys like Mo Wagner and Alex Caruso likely given a chance to be a part of this team as well. But they're going to need to fill out, rotation guys 4 through 7. And perhaps that means breaking up the max contract or the near max they have remaining open on their book.
Yeah, definitely so much more to break down here. Coming up with this move, the Lakers acquiring Anthony Davis. A lot of expectations in Los Angeles. Dave McMenamin with